That's What She Said. My name is Beth Kelling, and I'm going to talk about my family's company, Sherman Buildings, and also one of my favorite topics, leadership. Being in business with my dad, brothers, and nephews in a male-dominated industry has taught me new ways to show up and speak up. It has sharpened my voice and strengthened my purpose. There's nothing like building something real with the people that you love. In 50 years, we haven't heard of a single one of our buildings go down, because at Sherman, we don't just talk about erections. We make them last forever. Isaac Mazer is on today. He became Sherman's youngest foreman in history at 19 years old. 5 years later, he took over as crew manager from me. He is such an obvious choice and is making it even more obvious by the day that he is going to help Sherman thrive in this role. Thank you for being here.
And thank you for having me.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
I think originally I wanted to be a heavy equipment operator, but I was homeschooled, so one of the classes we had was just go outside and build stuff. I had a little brother that we enjoyed building forts and treehouses, and we like to be creative, and I think that's really what I like doing, is just be creative and use my imagination and build stuff. So I ended up here.
Was your mom pretty structured with that? Like, oh, here's what you're going to build? Or was she like, go outside and build something?
She would definitely ask what we were doing and then encourage what we had planned, but kind of rein it in a bit and make it realistic. So yeah, making material lists, drawing blueprints, that was all part of it. And that was super fun. That was kind of part of our math class too.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
So heavy equipment operator, do you still want to do that sometimes? Do you get to do that sometimes here at Sherman?
It's funny, working at Sherman, you get to do a million things. Out on the crew, building a pole shed, it's you do operate equipment, whether it's drilling holes, booming trusses, lifting stuff. It's so yeah, I definitely get my fix here. That's for sure. And it's super enjoyable.
Good. So you came up with this quote, and I even asked ChatGPT if this was a quote anyone else said, and it said, no, people obviously say quotes like this, but it was, without goals, we are lost souls.
Yep.
Remember that one? Where did you come up with that?
It's just off the fly, I guess. I don't know. It's I'm a firm believer in goal setting. I think anybody should set goals. I think otherwise, how are you supposed to live? I guess maybe, but.
Yeah, I walked by and saw it on the whiteboard. I was like, is that Mark Twain? They're like, no, Mazer wrote it.
Yeah.
Do you have any goals for yourself right now, work-wise?
Work-wise, make everybody as happy as possible. Try not to, just be the best that I can be. Coming into a new role, I got a lot of pressure, on me. High expectations, but I really want to deliver, and hopefully the crew guys are gonna benefit from it. So
I believe that they will, because you're such a strong leader. How did you become such a strong leader?
I guess my mother, for sure. It's she's a very strong leader. I would say she's definitely the leader of our family. But also just, goal setting, knowing what I wanted. Got married at a super young age. Few days after I turned 18, got married, and it came down to, well, this is it, man. You got to do it. You got to, you got to carry through on your decisions, so step up.
I had a feeling you would say your mom, because like we talked about in the other podcast we just recorded, you were homeschooled, and your mom had you debate for an hour every single morning. She would pick a topic, and you would debate, and I think that shows good leadership, because a bad leader is going to say, hey, this is what I believe, this is what you believe, and we're going to move forward in that direction, and she wanted you to think for yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Beautiful. So I don't think you really watch that much TV, so you haven't seen Ted Lasso, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, Ted has some really insightful leadership tactics, and one-liners that he says. And one that I really liked and I wanted to say because I know you like horses is he said, taking on a new challenge is like riding a horse. If you're comfortable, you're probably doing it wrong.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So can you think of a time that being uncomfortable helped you grow?
Oh my God. Yes. Getting married at a young age. You know, buying a house at a super young age. That was a lot to take on. Moving up north, moving away from everybody that I knew, and just kind of had to make it work and fit in. And
Yeah, you just love doing the hard things. Because all those things are hard. Getting married at a young age and choosing right then that I am going to compromise and plan a life with somebody together. You know, this whole thing. I'm 18. We're going for it. That's
yeah.
that's amazing. I've seen you have really hard conversations when they're needed. I've seen you give tough love when they're needed. So I think those are examples when I've seen you be. I can't even tell that you're uncomfortable, but those things have to be uncomfortable. And that's how they help you grow. So I've seen you do it a million times. So to become a foreman at such a young age, there has to be sacrifices with that. What did you lose to get that gain?
You know, I didn't really have a lot of I didn't have any friends outside of work. But that's probably me as a person. I don't know if I really sacrificed anything. It just, I really did enjoy it.
Your body? You put your body through a lot, I'm sure.
A little bit, yeah. Some things aren't, but that's just with anything, you know. If I chose being a heavy equipment operator, I would have eventually felt that. It's just name of the game.
I think you must be good at shutting work off when you get home and spending that quality time with your wife and kids. Otherwise, it would feel like you lost in that aspect. But I'm glad to hear it doesn't sound like you did. And I hope you continue to be able to shut work off and be present with your family. So when I first became crew manager, you were really intimidating for a while, but pretty quickly you opened up to me and made me feel welcome. One of the first crew guys to make me feel really welcome. And I started to go to you for advice. Like the one time everyone was talking shit about each other behind each other's backs. Like it was pure chaos. Even crews that weren't working with each other were just mad talking shit about each other. And I asked you what I should do. And you said, make everybody go around the room and say something nice about the person next to them. And I was like, I can do that? Are you kidding me? Like, that's my type of thing. But I didn't know how anybody would react. But you made me feel confident enough to do that. And so many other things. You made me feel brave as a manager. So I think your superpower is making people feel brave. And you do that by caring about people so much, but equally calling them out for their bullshit, which actually makes people feel seen and acknowledged. You know, like he noticed me enough to see that and he's going to call me out on it. He's not just going to let me go through the cracks. So what makes you care about people enough that you call them out for their shit?
Seeing the potential that they have, you know, and just, you know, I think that's just part of, you know, being a good person, I think, is caring. And, you know, it's easy just to kind of brush somebody off and just ignore them. But I think part of caring is pointing out some of the negativities, you know, as long as it's respectful, you know. I think respect is a huge thing. Otherwise, you're just a judgmental prick. So. Mm-hmm. I think as long as, you know, the judgment is coming from a good place, I think it's good.
Speaking of respect, how do new guys that you hire earn respect out on the crew?
Listen. Just listen. You know, we have tons of experience here. We have super great guys. Everybody loves to teach out there. Just listen. That's all.
What was your first day like?
Hell.
Whose crew were you on?
Matt Peterson's. It was hell. I was so fucking sore when I was done. Oh my God. I remember the day very clearly. When I got home, which I was still living with my parents, I stepped out of the truck and I almost fell down. My legs were so fucking sore. I was just like, oh my God. I didn't think I could be this sore. And looking back, I really didn't do that much during the day. I picked up garbage.
When you've gotten laid off, has the first day every season back been like you've been that sore?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody, just talking to crew guys now, everybody's like, oh my God, I'm a little out of shape.
Yeah.
But it goes by quick.
Yeah.
It only lasts a couple days.
And there's something about that kind of sore. I mean, when you do a good workout, a good workout, good work day, and you feel sore and it sucks and you can't sit on the toilet or you can't bend down. But like, there's something that feels so good about it too.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It does feel good. It feels good to use your body. It does.
That next morning though, where you're like, I don't know if I'm going back or.
Yeah, my wife definitely has to give me a little bit of a roll. Just to get me going. But
what's a favorite memory of your first couple years?
Honestly, I have so many. God, seeing one guy. Okay, this is so bad, and this is such OSHA violations. But we were doing this remodel, and it was winter time, and the snowbanks were banked up so high on the edge of the building, so it was almost to the edge of the roof, and all of a sudden it just kind of turned into we were shoveling snow off the roof, and one of the guys fell off, and it wasn't a major fall. It was just right into the snows, and then it turned into a game of like a bunch of like 12-year-old boys just like running and jumping off the roof into the snow. It was super fun.
That sounds so fun.
Ridiculous, but it was fun.
Yeah. What's the best lesson you ever learned from Ed, aka the pole shed god?
Ed is master of a lot of things. Morale. He is so good with keeping the morale up. Setting poles is everybody claims it's the shittiest job, but Ed makes it the funnest. With his humor, and it's like you start, your stomach is hurting so fucking bad because you're laughing, and then before you know it, you're done. And it's he has that superpower of just making the day so much better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, his superpower is just those one-liners, like making people saying, "Oh, it's lunchtime." It's like it's 9 a.m. No, or just say random stuff.
Yeah.
I remember setting poles with him one time and tamping. This isn't that funny, but nobody told me when you're tamping. Like I had my head above it, and then I hit my head. Yeah, that hurt pretty bad. But yeah. Okay, so I have a moment I want to share. A lot of the guys have told me that their favorite part of building a building is that they get to the job site and it's just a piece of land, just dirt, and by the end of the day, there's poles in the ground, walls up, sometimes a roof, and sometimes even a finished building. Super rewarding to physically see the work that got done. And when you took over as crew manager last fall, like a month in, I asked you how the switch was from being out on the crew to being in the office, because some days it doesn't feel like you've accomplished anything. You put out emergencies all day and never get to what you plan to, never accomplish it. It just doesn't feel accomplishing. You don't get to see the fruits of your labor. You don't get to build a building anymore. So I asked you how that was going because it can be discouraging. And I can't remember what you said, but an hour later, the overhead door crew had called and said that they didn't have the correct parts to finish. The service crew called and said that the gate key that they had wasn't working to get in. And at the same time, the installation crew called and said, I think we just blew insulation in the wrong building. And so all three emergencies handling at once. And then like an hour later, a miracle happened, because that was that day we sent 2 guys out to one service job and 2 guys to another service job, just crossing our fingers that they would finish at the same time so that they could meet
Oh
at the
yeah.
second job
Yep.
site at the exact same time.
Yep.
And I remember you came in and you were like, oh my gosh, they finished at the same time. They met there. It worked out perfect. And I was like, wow, maybe that bad stuff had to happen earlier so that this amazing thing could happen, so it could balance out, because I'm just a big believer in balance. And you looked at me and you said, it feels like we built a building.
Yep.
And I was like, yes, it does.
Yes.
Yes, it does, because we have to pay attention to those little emergencies and all of the planning that we do so that we do still feel productive. So I hope we have a lot of days like that this summer.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. So what did you do that day when your crew wouldn't stop complaining? When you were out on the crew, you were a foreman, and you called me. You're like, my crew guys won't stop complaining, and I have an idea. What was the idea? What did it work? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It. I can't remember what the dollar amount was, but I think maybe $40 per person. If
I think it was 100.
was it 100? Oh my
I think
god.
you were that level of
Yeah.
we need to fix this.
Yeah, it and it sounds so ass backwards rewarding people for not bitching at work, but it made them feel so stupid and childish that they needed to be rewarded to not. It was like, be quiet in the church pew. I'll give you a sucker.
Yeah. But sometimes we don't realize what we're doing. So just a reminder, that's
Yeah.
your leader of like, instead of yelling back at them and saying, stop complaining, it's like, how do I help them see their own actions?
Yeah, and I'm pretty positive after all that, we ended the day by going and getting ice cream.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But yeah, so you told every crew guy, if they got through the whole day without complaining, you'd give them $100.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yep. And then weeks later, I remember you said it was still working.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody, was too nervous to be a child. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Do you remember how that thought came to you? Like, of that idea of, I'm just going to do that? Was it just out of pure need for order?
Yeah. Just kind of just reaching at things, and that's what I grabbed. So.
Yeah. Cool. So Sherman Awards are the awards that we give out, like Dundee Awards on the show The Office. Do you remember what Sherman Awards you've won?
I think two of them I remember. Wandering Erector.
Wandering, yeah.
Yep, I remember that.
Because we were moving you around a lot. You were always down to move to whatever city Steve needed you in.
Yeah. And then Future CEO. I remember getting that one.
I didn't remember that.
Yep. I don't remember the third one though.
So my favorite leader of leadership, Simon, I made you watch a bunch of his stuff. He said that not having belief in someone raises the collective blood pressure of a whole group or organization. So how are you going to make sure that you have belief in everyone that you take care of at Sherman?
Staying, just good communication, really trying to be in touch with them, stay up to date. We have check sheets on, skills that they need to learn. Just really try to be as involved in their lives as possible. So.
Love that. So even before we talked about your mom earlier in this episode, I had this question. What's something your mom said to you that made you who you are today?
You can either roll with the big dogs or sit on the porch. And that has stuck with me. So every decision, every time I go and do something hard, or I'm about to do something hard, I hear my mother say that. So
You can hear it in the back of your head.
most definitely, yes.
That's great. That's great. What would Ed do?
What would Ed do? Good God, I don't know. In what setting?
Just what would he do?
What would he do?
Remember last year our t-shirt said WWED? What would Ed do?
He'd probably build a a 10 out of 10 building while making everybody laugh, and probably just, invite everybody over to have a good time. He's really good about, just being with the guys, and that's I think that's what Ed would do.
Awesome. Well, I hope that you come on pretty often. We'll have lots to talk about as the season goes on. We're just about to ramp up 2025 season, couple weeks. And I think it's going to be busy. You've been great at finding new subcontractors, finding new guys, putting the crews together. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for coming on, and we'll see you soon. Quality.
Erections.
Thank you so much for listening in on That's What She Said. If you are as passionate about leadership as I am, I would love to hear from you. Please go to my website at that'swhatsheshed.live to share feedback, ideas, and start the conversation of coming on the show.